Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Political Vigilante. My name's Graham Elwood. Oh, you gotta love a good graphic. God, the way it moves like that. What robots can do, it's fantastic. Thank you for supporting the show, guys. Go to patreon.com/Graham Elwood to support the show. Also, Progressive Comedy Tour is coming to the Gulf States next week, March 10th through the 13th. Ron Placone and I are going to Lafayette, Louisiana, Oxford, Mississippi, Pensacola, Florida, and New Orleans. March 10th through the 13th. Get your tickets now. And you can support the show in many other ways. Like, subscribe, share the videos, watch the ads all the way through. When you click skip ad, I do not get paid. I want to show you how the corporate media portrays the war machine. Like a sporting event. Boeing's F-15X versus Lockheed Martin's Stealth F-35. Let the showdown begin. That's how they report sports. I mean, this is like Tom Brady versus the Rams. Who's going to win the big game? I mean, it's nuts. It's nuts. I mean, this is just like World Series champ Boston Red Sox. Are they going to repeat in 2019? Let's find out. That's what this is. And this is in the national interest. So I got this off of YouTube, but this is where the article originated, right? Came out March 5th. I'm going to go through the article, and of course, it's just talking about, is this too much money to spend? But just versus which fighter jet we're buying. Not like, why are we spending so much money on the military, but just which fighter jet. I mean, it's nuts. The Pentagon reportedly will request around $8 billion to buy this is their words, only 78 F-35 stealth fighters in 2020 budget proposal. That's 6 fewer than the military projected. See this? It's not enough. We got to have more fighter jets. The F-35, I've talked about that. It's a $1.4 trillion boondoggle. Just only 78 F-35s. The U.S. Air Force would get all 48 F-35As it expected to buy, but even that quantity is far smaller than the 72 new fighters per year the flying branch says it must acquire in order to replace older jets before they become obsolete. How many schools could this buy? See, it's just there's no questioning of it in the corporate media, and this is talked about in the business section. It just shows you how war is a business. It's just a profit. It's a racket, as Smedley Butler said in the book War is a Racket. This is what it is. There's no question. How are we going to pay for it? Anyone ask? There's nowhere in this does it say how we're going to pay for it. There's not one. The link is in the show notes. Read the article yourself. Nowhere in there does it say how are we going to pay for this. How are we going to pay for all these F-35As? Oh, only 72. It's far smaller. Oh, 48. They only have 70. Oh, boy, what are we going to do? The 24 fighter shortfall. Now, bear in mind, we spend more than the next 7 countries combined. How come we can't have Medicare for all? How are we going to pay for Medicare for all? Right? Central to the debate over the U.S. Defense Department's decision essentially to force the Air Force to buy the F-15, an upgraded version of a nearly 50-year-old fighter that Boeing built last for the Air Force in 2001. So they've used the F-15 for years, but they're old. We need new ones. Now, granted, an old F-15 could like decimate any of these. Like, we could send our old fighter jets down to Venezuela and clean that up pretty quickly, and which we wanted, which we wish we could do. We got to go down there and get their oil. I don't know the audacity of the Venezuelans to have a democratically elected leader. It's unbelievable. Listen to this language, this constant language. Shortfall, not enough fighters, 24 fighter shortfall. The Pentagon's Cost Assessment and Program Evaluation Office is the main champion of the F-15X. The Office of Acting Secretary of Defense Patrick Shanahan, a former Boeing executive. The Secretary of Defense is a Boeing executive, former Boeing executive. Is there a conflict of interest there? Is this article all about that conflict of interest? No, not even close. And that's their argument, that they should need to buy these jets. This came out in Bloomberg Business Week several years ago, in 2015. Is the F-35 a $1 trillion mistake? It's ridiculous how much money we spend on this. And yet, when someone tries to bring up a Green New Deal...
Please welcome Governor Jay Inslee.
Thank you. Thank you.
They agree with you. I mean, a lot of... I appreciate that you're doing this, because that's my number one issue. And I really am happy that you're doing it. But how are you going to differentiate yourself from the rest of the Democrats who also say they want to change climate? They want to work on that.
I'm going to get Joy in the White House so we can have a climate change president. That's what I'm going to do. We need this. Well, look, this is really simple. I've had a lot of success in our state. We've got the best economy in the country. We've got great paid family leave, big minimum wage increase. Yeah. We've had the biggest educational funding increase. We've legalized marijuana, a lot of success. But the reason fundamentally I'm running is because we need a president who will say this. America is going to defeat climate change. It is our destiny. And we will do this. And I'm convinced of this. But to do this, we have to have a leader who will say fundamentally and unequivocally that this is the number one priority in the United States. It has to be because of the nature of this challenge. This is the greatest peril we have, but it is also the greatest promise. Look, I went to Paradise, California a couple months ago and saw a town of 25,000 people. It looked like Europe after World War II. And when you stand there and you see the damage that we face and our grandchildren face, it demands a united nation to confront this. And I think, look, I'm a child of the 60s. I remember when John F. Kennedy said we're going to the moon in 10 years and bring somebody back. And we went because that spark, that bugle of inspiration, united the country to a new mission statement. And I believe this is a new mission statement that is going to grow jobs all over the United States.
So, you know,
that's why I'm running.
Okay. Look, Joy, this is her number one issue. I think everyone in this room cares about the air we breathe.
I would say it's because if we can't breathe, what's the point?
It's number one.
A good economy.
Oh.
Yeah, and most Americans, healthcare is number one, and right after it, it's climate change.
Yeah. But for a lot of people, it's still the economy. And so I'm here listening to this, and I'm wondering, do you really want to win, or are you trying to get attention for this one issue? Because it's not just about beating Democrats, you got to beat Trump. And you saw him at CPAC, whether you agree with him or not. He knows how to get people riled up. He gets headlines, he gets attention. The media is always talking about him. Climate change, that's not the number one issue for many, many people in this country. So how are you going to make waves on that?
Well, I want a lot of things in life, but what I want most in life is to defeat Donald Trump and make him a blip in history.
So how do you do that?
Here's how we're going to do this. Here's how we're going to do this. Look. Your comment was very interesting. Climate change is an economic growth engine. It is an ability to grow jobs. Today, clean energy jobs in the United States are growing twice as fast as the rest of the U.S. economy. The number one job creation rate today is in solar panel installer. The number two is in wind turbine technology. When Donald Trump said that, we're not going to have toasters and TVs if we have wind power, that's just simply, moronic is the best way I could say it. Because in my state, we now have a $6 billion wind turbine industry. Wow. And when I turn on The View in the morning, it always comes on. It works really, really well. So he is just such a pessimist and a narrow-minded thinker. He needs to get with the rest of Americans that understand the country that sent a man to the moon can develop a clean energy economy. That's what we can do. I fundamentally believe that. So that's my message.
But don't you need more than that if you're running? Don't you need more than that as your main platform if you're going to run against President Trump?
Yes, we're going to talk about the economic growth inherent in clean energy, and I co-authored a book about this over 10 years ago. I helped do the U.S. Climate Alliance. So I've been at this for about 2 decades. But I want to talk to people about the fact that this is a health issue, right? This is the health of our children. Our children in the state of Washington could not go outside and play last year. We had to shut down public pools because the forests were all burning and our kids could not breathe. We had the worst air quality in the world. We're better than that. This is a national security measure issue. Trump will not listen to his generals. I have, and I've talked to intelligence officials. This is a national security threat because it's going to drive mass migrations that destabilize governments around the world. So this is not just an environmental issue. This is an issue that touches everything we hold dear. And I just tell you, I take this personally. I got 3 grandkids. I've officially designated them the cutest kids in Washington. And I am dedicated that those kids do not live in a degraded world. That's my commitment, and I'm going to get up every day making sure they get that.
All right. Maybe I am just a unicorn from another planet, but climate change doesn't even hit my top 30 of how I vote for somebody.
God,
so
you're stupid.
I do think I am on this panel to say isn't what's selling me on you beating Trump, and I say that with respect. What's also not selling me on beating Trump is the new Green Deal, which all of the 2020 contenders have endorsed. It would cost $93 trillion, or to every person in this room, $600,000 per each of your households. Do you think that plan, thank you ma'am, is practical, or have you endorsed it, or do you have another option? Because when I hear that an average American is going to have to spend $600,000 for a new Green Deal, you can understand how people like me don't think that's logical.
Well, this is a lot like the death panels you heard about in Obamacare. Republicans talked about death panels.
Yeah.
We didn't have death panels, and we don't have $600,000 costs. This is a thing that I think has been helpful in our discussion in a variety of ways. Number one, we're talking about climate change. That is of value. We're also talking about high ambition.
Could you give an example to just the average person in here how they can help where it doesn't sound so irrational? I mean, we're talking about $51 trillion, the elimination of planes, the elimination of cows, a railway, no planes. I guess nobody can go to Hawaii anymore. It doesn't sound that rational to me.
It isn't rational because those are the things that Donald Trump said. We are not going to eliminate cars. We are not going to eliminate trains. We're going to have what I have in my driveway today, which is a blue GM Bolt made in Michigan with American workers. That's what we're going to have, okay? We're going to have televisions powered by solar and wind energy. We're going to have potentially ways to fly airplanes on biofuels. We have flown a Boeing 737 across the Atlantic Ocean now, and biofuels developed in my state. The point is that when we think about our opportunities here, we can't be so narrow-minded. Look, you know, I grew up in the time of rotary phones, and now we got cell phones. We're going to have the greatest transformation of our economy that you can hardly imagine if we unleash this potential of America.
Can I just interject really quick?
Yeah.
I understand you're talking the talk and walking the walk, but a lot of advocates don't. Ocasio-Cortez's campaign spent $30,000 on 1,050 Uber rides. Al Gore's home electricity was 21 times the national average in 2017, even after a green overhaul. Leonardo DiCaprio flies on private jets, including to accept an environmental award in 2016. A lot of environmentalists don't walk the walk, they just talk the talk, and then they want the average American to spend $600,000 in their household, and none of this adds up.
That wasn't really true.
But that's what's proposed on the new Green Deal.
Actually, that is not what is proposed. Let's get this straight. That is not proposed in the new Green Deal. Okay?
Well, then
I just want to be real straight about this.
Then I guess, Governor, you've got no problems with voters then.
We don't. And let me.
I have to cut you off, sir.
you have
I
a
hate
vote.
to do it to you, but
I'll be back.
we have a time restriction here. So I have to say thank you very much. You are walking the walk and talking the talk, and I'm right there with you.
All right,
Thanks to
go ahead.
Governor Jay.
See those ridiculous talking points of the corporate establishment, Meghan McCain? Oh, it's going to cost Americans $600,000 each. Anybody ask that about the F-35? How are they paying for the F-35? How are they paying for it? Anybody ask about the $9 trillion we've spent on the global war on terror that only has created more terrorists? Anybody asking that question? First of all, those numbers aren't accurate. I don't know who came up with those numbers. Probably ExxonMobil who gave you those numbers. They're not accurate. And the other thing, do you ask how are we going to pay for these fighter jets? How are we going to pay for the war in Syria and Iraq and the proposed war in Iran? And then we're going to go to Venezuela. Anybody ever ask how we're going to pay for that? Nobody ever asked how we're going to pay for that. So this is the end of this ridiculous article. Congress should intervene to increase the number of F-35s in the budget. It also could block the request for F-15s, as some pro-Lockheed lawmakers have threatened to do. The fighter debate continues as the budget process grinds on. No. They manage the argument. These are the parameters. We're having fighter jets. We're going to spend ridiculous amounts of money on war jets, whether we need them or not. That's not up for the debate. The debate is how much money, what type, who gets the jets, what type of jets. Do you see that? This isn't a real debate. It's just, and that's Meghan McCain. Oh, shoot down the Green New Deal. That's, oh, why would you want to do anything in it? We're supposed to be a country of innovators. And that's the thing. Oh, it's going to cost every American household $600,000. That's just more scare tactics. Ugh. Well, her dad was a warmonger, so that's what you get. That's what you get from the corporate media. And I'll give that guy credit. I don't know much about him, but he answered a lot of great questions. Because that's the thing with the Green New Deal. It fixes a lot of problems. So thanks for watching, everybody. Thanks for watching getting your news on YouTube and not those jackasses on the corporate media, because they don't know what they're talking about. Well, they do know what they're talking about because they're paid to say crap like that. Meghan McCain is paid to say crap like that. That is her job, is to just keep the plausible deniability going so that we have to stay on fossil fuels. So I guess with the Green New Deal, nobody gets to fly to Hawaii. No, who said that? And then of course he came back with, no, we biofuel for airplanes. Nobody gets a cow. Everyone's gotta eat tofu. That's what they're gonna do. Keep you scared. Well, Meghan, you could stand to go on a vegan diet. GrahamElwood.com for all my show dates. You heard me. I'm telling you, let's do it.